Hi people, it's me Anja, my pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new reading vlog. Today I'm going to read The Darkest Minds, which is a YA fantasy that was published in the early 2010s, I believe. So this video is a new chapter of my series where I read a book from the early 2000s or the early 2010s for the very first time to see whether or not they aged well. And the last book that I read in this series of videos was Shadow Me, which was absolutely awful, and it was definitely the worst of all these books that I've read so far. Like, The Summer I Turned Pretty was kind of okay, the selection was really bad and cringy and kind of laughable. Delirium so far was like pretty okay. It was like between being okay and good. And what else have I read in this series? I don't remember, honestly. So anyway, I think The Darkest Minds is the first in a quartet. I've read a duology before by this author. I don't really remember the name. Maybe it's called Passenger. It had something to do with time travel. I remember like the science was really confusing, but it was quite interesting. And it would have been more interesting definitely if I had understood what was happening. But anyway, all that to say, I have higher expectations for this book than the other books so far in this series because The Darkest Minds has quite a bigger fandom. Like sometimes, you know when you read a book that was really popular, but the fandom retrospectively agrees that like collectively it was actually quite bad? Like it was infamous, like Divergent for example. But like people remember this book series as being really good. So, I don't know. With that said, I have a feeling that this series might age well, but I'm not sure if I'm going to read all of the books in this series or just the first one. Anyway, all that to say, all I know about the series is that it's YA fantasy. It was turned into a movie that stars Amanda Stenberg, because of course it does, because they starred in pretty much like every single YA book to film adaptation in 2012. So basically, when I think of the main character, I'm going to imagine them as Amanda Stenberg, even if in the original series they were not described as black. Like that's how I'm going to like think of them, honestly. And second of all, I think this follows a young main character who has superpowers or something like that and is hunted for them. I don't know. Anyway, that's all the knowledge I have. So let's get started. So I misspoke earlier. I think this series is YA dystopian, not fantasy, because why does this mysterious illness only affect Americans? Second of all, how on earth are children getting this mysterious illness anyway? I keep saying mysterious illness because even though I know that it has an official name, I just don't want to use that official name. So, anywhoosies, that's where I'm at so far. I'm only 2 chapters in. I'm 6 chapters into this book so far, and frankly, it's so fast-paced, and I'm so confused. What I do understand is that Ruby recently escaped this, like, prison school that she was a part of, because, like, her parents, to my understanding, sent her there when she was 10, because she has powers that they don't understand, because I guess only children that are survivors of this mysterious illness got powers as a result, and her superpower is that, like, I guess she can see people's memories when she touches them, but, like, when she touches them, like, it affects their memory because they don't remember her anymore. Which is how, like, Sam doesn't remember her anymore, I think. And then, like, she's meeting Martin, and then Kate, who's an adult, and then, what's Martin's superpower? I don't know. There's so much going on, and so many, like, politics, and world building and everything that, frankly, so much of it is going over my head, because the action is starting, and the plot is moving faster than my brain is to sit down and comprehend it, if that makes any sense. Because, like, sometimes when I'm reading and I'm picking up so many details at once some of them I have to put aside because I don't know if they're really relevant anymore. So sometimes, like, when a plot twist comes or something, if it's related to the detail that I put down pages ago, I have to pick it back up again to see if it was really relevant. And that tailors my reaction to the plot twist and whether or not I'm surprised by the plot twist or not. But typically when a plot twist comes, I can anticipate it because, like, the best plot twist is not the one that comes completely out of nowhere, like a shock factor. The best plot twist is where you can see the hints of it beforehand, leading up to the plot twist. Anyway, sorry, I know that's like writing 101 or whatever, but like, I don't know, I'm enjoying this book so far, but it's very action-packed and it's very fast-paced, which I'm not super enjoying so far. I need someone to sit down and explain to me like exactly what is happening in detail because I'm confused, but I don't know if that's the point. You know, because like if Ruby's powers have to do with like her memory, maybe her memory is scatterbrained as I am right now. So maybe that's the point. I don't know. I'm now 9 chapters in so far and she's met the other kids. And from what I remember from the snippets of the film adaptation that I've seen of this book, I'm pretty sure that Liam is her love interest. But anyway, all that to say, I'm excited for this found family-esque type of squad. But the problem with found family, with it being like a bunch of kids, is that like, where are the adults? Like, who is like the dad of the group, the mom of the group, etc.? How do they survive on their own for so long? I'm intrigued. I'm also confused, but I'm intrigued. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. As per usual, it wouldn't be a book published in 2012 without the R word being mentioned. So, I just love casual ableism. I'm being sarcastic if that wasn't completely clear. I hate it that the R word was so, like, normal to mention and say so casually in all these books published in 2012. And yeah, I feel like I don't really have to explain why ableism is so like detrimental to me personally as a disabled person, but also like just in general, like ableism should not be normalized and like the discrimination against disabled people should be talked about more. I feel like disability is such a stigmatized conversation topic and it should be talked about more. I feel like people outside the disabled community don't really talk about like being disabled or disability justice or disability rights or ableism or like anything. And it really irks me because it means that it's like a taboo topic, which it shouldn't be. I don't know, I digress. Anyway, Liam and Chubbs, which it annoys me that his nickname is based on the size that he used to be. Like, what the fuck is his real name? Anyway, and Zoo and Ruby have met these other kids, and I don't know if I really care, honestly. They're all on the run from the government because the government is chasing them, because the government wants to control them, I guess, for their superpowers, because they've all gotten superpowers, because they're all survivors of this mysterious illness. And they keep referring to the colors. I think the colors have something to do with the caliber of their superpowers and how the government like categorized them. But I need a simple explanation as to what specifically each color means and what each color like correlates with, because I'm a little confused about that specifically. But anyway, that's where I'm at right now. I'm like 21 chapters into this book so far, and I feel like I was supposed to be surprised that Clancy is like the slip kid or whatever, but like I don't really care But like maybe it's just because like they keep jumping around and meeting all sorts of other kids that I feel like I enjoy the four of them, like being their own unit. And obviously I love that Zoo reunited with her cousin, like that's really cool. Especially since she's so young. And I love that like Chubbs and Liam have like this brother relationship. And then Ruby and Zoo have like a sister relationship. And I guess Liam and Ruby's romance might start soon or whatever. But like, I don't know. Regarding the actual plot and the actual world building, I don't really care what happens next. Like, I'm way more interested in the characters than the plot, if that makes any sense. Anyway, I think I'm going to rate this book 3 stars. I have a third left to read. I'm like 84% through this book so far, and Clancy just admitted that he likes Ruby, which I think is a little weird because, like, isn't Clancy an adult? And Ruby is 16 and he's 18? Isn't there a bit of an age gap between them? Also, because he's teaching her how to control her powers, it's giving, like, teacher-student relationship. Even though it's not, but it is. I don't know. And also, another factor is that I don't trust him. I don't know if I'm really supposed to or not, but I feel like, I don't know. Isn't her endgame Liam? Is this another lazy love triangle? I hate love triangles, and love triangles are so popular, especially in the early 2010s. I felt like every single book series had a love triangle where a girl had to choose between 2 boys. And it was just so annoying. Why can't she choose between 2 girls? I guess that wouldn't work because sometimes the 2 girls would hook up with each other. And since this series is also heteronormative, although not as heteronormative as the Selection series, like the 2 boys are not going to hook up with each other because I feel like Liam and Clancy aren't even friends. But anyway, I want perspective in Chubb's perspective. Any whoosies, that's where I'm at. So now I've finished 27 chapters, and I'd like to conclude that Clancy is an absolute asshole because what he did to Ruby, in my opinion, constitutes a sexual assault because he took advantage of her and her memories and forced her to kiss him. Ew. And it's just so disgusting and awful. Like, what the hell? Why does nobody talk about this element of this book? Like, I know The Darkest Minds is, like, technically, it's considered more underrated, in my opinion, compared to, like, other popular YA books of 2010. But, like, does nobody else constitute what happened to her as sexual assault? Like, is it just me? I know the Me Too movement wasn't necessarily popular, or, like, I guess it hadn't started yet in 2012, but, like, damn, that was crazy. Clancy is an idiot, and I hate him so much. Anyway, I can't believe I just thought that he was, like, an ordinary older guy who was gonna be part of this, like, weird love triangle. But he's more than an idiot. He's an asshole. And, yeah. I don't know what was happening in 2012, but, like, he is so annoying. I hate him. But I'm supposed to, right? So I finished the book. Ruby erased Liam's memories of her so that he could go on without her and that she could join the league, I guess. Okay. I don't know. I don't really understand, honestly, the point of all of these organizations and what they each want, because they all sound like they want the same thing, but they have different ways of getting there. If that makes any sense. I'm not going to read the sequels. I want to see Ruby and Zoo together again because I missed their sister relationship and I wonder what happened to them. And like the trauma that Zoo went through is absolutely insane. And the fact that like the youngest child went through the most trauma kind of like irks me. I don't know why. And also, is Chubbs dead? I hope he's not. But is he? Anyway, I felt like this is the type of world building where it's very descriptive, but it's also underdeveloped. Like in Calabasas. I don't know. I'm the biggest Calabasas hater, and I need people to join the club. Anyway, all that to say, I rated this book 3 stars. I won't be reading the sequels, and I don't really care what happens next, particularly with the romance that was brewing between Ruby and Liam. Like, I don't care. I hope that Clancy goes to hell because he sucks. I hope that Zoo and Chubbs are happy and have a nice future, like a platonic sibling future together because their like relationship was so cute and so wholesome. But like I didn't love how action-packed it was or how fast-paced it was. I know some readers probably found that thrilling, but for me I was just more confused because I felt like a lot of the world building was info dumpy and relied on telling and not showing, which doesn't really work in a dystopian setting. Anyway, all that to say, I rated this book 3 stars. I hope to read something else soon, something that's really good. Part of why I read this book is because my August reading month is not very good right now. I've read a slew of like mediocre books lately. So yeah, I decided to film this because I don't frankly have enough books to film a recent reads video. And I didn't really want to film a recommended reads video because I didn't really know what exactly I should be filming at the moment. But anyway, all that to say, I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the blueberry emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.